In regards to the question, does God exist? We would like to find evidence for God, or for some sort of God to exist, outside what the Bible or other biased sources claim. Don't the people in your country think Obama or the Bernanke are God?
No, they just play God on TV.
So, what is some of the evidence?
Believe it or not, having the right type of galaxy is an interesting piece of evidence you would not initially expect. One of them is that the galaxy must be spiral. Only 5 of the galaxies are spiral in the entire universe.
That is coincidence, not evidence.
Also, it must have many supernovae eruptions in the early stages of its development in order to produce the correct elements to support life.
Coincidence.
Then the supernovae eruptions need to become minimized when there is life in order to sustain life.
Coincidence again.
Assuming all the above requirements are somehow met, the solar system still must be in the correct location of the spiral arm of the galaxy.
Coincidence.
There are white dwarf stars, and they must be close enough to large stars to attract fluorine.
Oh right. Fluorine so we can have toothpaste. Ha ha. Coincidence.
Well, currently we do not know of any other place in the entire universe which has met the same requirements.
Which is why I believe it was chance.
Assuming you were lucky enough to score the correct galaxy and location in the spiral arm, and met all the necessary requirements to sustain life, the following additional requirements must be met to create or sustain life. You need the right sun. This is identified by the size. If it were any larger, it would burn away too quickly for life to be maintained.
Coincidence.
If it were smaller, the planets would be too close or too far to sustain life. None of the planets in their current location would be capable of sustaining life.
Coincidence.
If the sun were a redder star, photosynthesis would be insufficient. If the sun were a bluer star, photosynthesis would be insufficient.
Coincidence.
Assuming you still met all of those requirements, you would need to meet other criteria to sustain life.
Like what?
We need a sun with a certain luminosity. The odd thing is that the sun's luminosity has increased 35% since life has begun.
Then why aren't we all dead now, young boy?
The reason is because, with each increase of the sun's luminosity, the Earth has counteracted that with a simultaneous decrease in the Earth's greenhouse effect of the Earth's atmosphere. This happened through the careful introduction of just the right species of life, in just the right quantities, at just the right times. The slightest evolutionary accident would have caused a runaway freeze-up, or a runaway boiling.
Coincidence.
We also have to be just the right distance from the sun. If we were just 2% closer, all life would be destroyed. If we were just 2% further away, all life would be destroyed.
Coincidence.
Believe it or not, we need a certain amount of seismic activity in order to properly fertilize life. If there was greater activity, too much life would be destroyed. If there were less, the nutrients on the ocean floor would not be recycled into the continents, which is a necessary process for the proper fertilization of the Earth.
Coincidence.
The Earth and the universe require so much fine-tuning to operate and support life. The mathematical probability of this happening makes it impossible. But here we are living and breathing. Is it only coincidence?
Coincidence. No real scientist would believe in such silliness.
Well, is Sir Fred Hoyle real scientist?
Of course. He is an English astronomer and mathematician from Cambridge.
Sir Fred Hoyle and his research assistant decided to calculate what are the chances that all the proteins necessary for life would show up in one place by random events. The result is 1 in 10 to the 40,000th power. There are only 1 to 10 in the 80th power known subatomic particles in the entire known universe. As Fred Hoyle commented, an outrageously small probability. And he says, my atheism was greatly shaken.
Nonsense. When did he say this?
From the Annual Reviews of Astronomy and Astrophysics, Volume 20, page 18. He also said, a superintellect has monkeyed with physics, as well as with chemistry and biology. The facts seem to me so overwhelming as to put this conclusion almost beyond question.
Coincidence. Simply one foggy-headed old man who lost his marbles.
Paul Davies became famous as a scientific crusader against the belief in God. Davies is a widely published and well-known astrophysicist. In Superforce, page 243, The Cosmic Blueprint, page 203, Science Digest, October 1983, page 24. He said, "The laws of physics seem themselves to be the product of increasingly ingenious design. There is for me powerful evidence that there is something going on behind it all. It seems as though somebody has fine-tuned nature's chambers to make the universe. The impression of design is overwhelming."
The old design argument. Coincidence.
Vero Kistiakowsky, famed MIT physicist, from the book Cosmos, Bios, Theos, page 52, "The exquisite order displayed by our scientific understanding of the physical world calls the divine."
Coincidence.
Edward Harrison, cosmologist, The Masks of the Universe, page 252 and 263, "Here is the cosmological proof of the existence of God. The fine-tuning of the universe provides evidence of deistic design. Many scientists, when they admit their views, incline toward the design argument."
Coincidence.
Arno Penzias, Nobel Prize winner in physics for the discovery of cosmic background radiation, from the book Cosmos, Bios, Theos, page 83, "Astronomy leads us to a universe with the very delicate balance needed to provide exactly the conditions required to permit life, and one which is an underlying, one might say, supernatural plan."
Coincidence.
Joel Primack, an astrophysicist from University of California, Santa Cruz, stated, "In UCSC you don't find atheists in the hard sciences department. To find atheists you need to go to the humanities department."
That is because they smoke too much of the marijuana in that school.
Nobel Prize winner Charles Townes says he looked at all the evidence for creation and said that intelligence must have been involved in the laws of the universe.
Coincidence.
John Polkinghouse was a famous Cambridge particle physicist, changed his entire profession and became a pastor. He says, "The universe did not just happen. There is a mind. There is a purpose behind it."
Coincidence.
So, if you don't mind my asking, how many coincidences does it take to make something likely?
More coincidence.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Occam's razor?
Oh, Occam's razor, like from Jodie Foster's character in the movie Contact.
Right. The razor is a principle that suggests we should tend towards simpler theories.
Sure. So, do you think that 1 in 10 to the 40,000th power is simpler, and requires less new postulates as the razor requires, than the belief that a higher power or God might exist?
Yes. Coincidence. Or, right, coincidence, coincidence.
Right.